I did my BTech from Anna University, Chennai, and I'm from Tamil Nadu, and I'm coming to Tamil Nadu again. Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir. My name is Divya. I'm from Salem, Tamil Nadu. I did my graduation in Electronics and Communication Engineering from PhD Tech, and my career is Punjab. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. Myself, Engineer Renata. I am coming from Punjab district of Tamil Nadu. I have been allocated to Manipur, Kerala. I did my graduation in Agricultural Irrigation Engineering from CG campus of Anna University.
Good evening, sir. I'm Swati Sri from Coimbatore. I did my graduation in BSc Agriculture from RS Agriculture College, Punjab, and I've been allocated to Tamil Nadu.
Good evening, sir. My name is Gaurav Kumar. I come from Patna. I have done my graduation in Computer Science from Hansraj College and post-graduation in Geography from Jawaharlal Nehru University, and I have been allocated Bihar card. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. My name is Pratibha Daya. I am from Haryana. I am going to Gujarat, and I am a Master's in English Literature from Regional College. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. My name is Samak Devi, and I am from Brazil. I took my postgraduate diploma in public administration in Brazil. Good evening, sir. My name is Jonathan. I am from Bhutan, and I did my postgraduate public administration in Bhutan.
Good evening, sir. I am from Madhya Pradesh, and I am going to Telangana cadet. I have done electrical engineering from IIT Bombay.
Good evening, sir. I am Justine Kaur. I am from Patiala, Punjab. I am going to West Bengal cadre, and I have done my graduation in Psychology Honours from Delhi University.
Good evening, sir. My name is Arpit Sandal. I come from Shamli, Uttar Pradesh. I have been allotted Haryana cadre. I did my BTech in Mathematics and Computing from IIT Delhi. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. My name is Vedant Singh. I am from Jaipur, Rajasthan, and I have been allocated to Rajasthan cadre. I did my graduation in Computer Science and Engineering from IIT. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. My name is Sushant. I am from Kathua, Jammu and Kashmir. I have been allotted at Good cadre, and I have done my post-graduation in Political Science from Punjab University, Chandigarh.
Good evening, sir. My name is Maran Raj, and I am from Hyderabad, Telangana, and I am a chemical engineer graduated from IIT Madras, graduated in 2017, and I have been allocated to Andhra Pradesh. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. I am Jastinder Singh. I am from Punjab, sir, and I have been allotted Punjab cadre, and I am graduating law from Punjab University.
Good evening, sir. I am Kumar Kaur. I am from Agra, Uttar Pradesh. I have done my graduation in civil engineering from IIT campus, and I am going to service college. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. My name is Mohit. Done my chemical engineering from NIT Jaipur. I am from Rajasthan, and I have been allotted Rajasthan cadre.
Good evening, sir. My name is Shashwat. I am from Bhiwani, Haryana. Going to Haryana cadre. I did my engineering from this cadre. Thank you.
Thank you all for the self-introduction. I request group leader of Group 8 to give presentation on Bharat Darshan.
I convey my warm greetings to the Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, Shri R.N. Ravi, and all the dignitaries on the dais. I feel privileged and honored to present the experience of our winter study tour of Group 8. We started our winter study tour on 26th December for our army attachment in Sikkim for a week time. We visited Nathula Pass and gathered information about its historical and strategic significance. Then we headed to North Sikkim, where we got to know the functioning of our armed forces at the frontier. Additionally, during our stay, we interacted with our Jawans and understood the hardships they face owing to the terrain and the climate. Carrying an enriched experience from our army attachment, we then proceeded to Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh to understand the functioning of Integrated Control and Command Center of a Smart City project. On the next day, we visited the National Judicial Academy, where we attended lectures on content of courts and the importance of precedents in governance by Justice A.P. Sahi. Our next attachment was at Ujjain to visit the temples, including Mahabaleshwar Jyotirlinga. Subsequently, We proceeded to Chandrapur in Maharashtra to visit open cast coal mining and the thermal power plant. Then we had our forest attachment at Khadoba Andari Tiger Reserve. We visited the tiger reserve twice, but our group was quite unfortunate to find any tiger, even though we understood the governance of a tiger reserve during our safari. On the next day, we proceeded to witness the philanthropic work of Shri Prakash Baba Ante, son of Padma Vibhushan Baba Ante and his wife Srimati Mandakini Ante. Under this project name, Lok Biradari Prakalp, they are serving to the tribal community in that area, such as medical services, educational development, etc. It was quite interesting and surprising to know that they also have an orphanage for the wild animals at Kemalkasa. After Maharashtra, we reached Vishakhapatnam for a 2-day naval attachment. We visited submarine Sindhu Vijay and INS Rama. We were briefed that the second most difficult job in the world is to work in a submarine, and we got a small experience of the same when we entered the submarine. On the day 2 of our naval attachment, we were taken to see the deep submergence rescue vehicle stationed at the Eastern Naval Command, which makes India to join the list of very few navies with such a capability. Few of our officer trainees also practically experienced the simulation of disaster control exercise. And now our crew has reached Tamil Nadu and specifically to Chennai for OTA attachment and to the port trust. At OTA, specifically we got to understand how the women officers of the Indian Army are trained on common merit with the gentleman cadets, thereby improving the competency of our officers in the Indian Army. Today morning we visited the port trust at Chennai to understand the functioning of a port trust, and also we practically saw the export of a ship that is made in India to Guyana. And on this beautiful evening, sir, we got an opportunity to interact with you, and we are very thankful for that. After Chennai, we are about to reach Coimbatore for our Air Force attachment at Sulu. From there, we are proceeding for our island attachment at Lakshadweep, then to Agartala for our northeast attachment. With this, I complete the summary of our winter study trip, sir. Once again, I thank the Honorable Governor for this splendid opportunity. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you for sharing your experience. Now it is group leader of group 9 to share his experience.
Honorable Governor Sir, Principal Secretary to Governor Sir, respected seniors and fellow OTs, a very good evening to all. It is my distinct privilege to present before you a short film on the winter study to group 9 that has gone so far. Sir, our group has 19 members, including 3 officers from Royal Bhutan Civil Service. We started from Labasna, Masuri on 26 December 2022 for 1 week of army attachment in Arunachal Pradesh. We were divided into 3 subgroups and sent to different divisions along the LAC. We got the opportunity to interact with army officers and jawans and experience the complex challenges of terrain, harsh weather, resource crunch, infra and connectivity difficulty that our army functions in. At the core of the interaction was civil-military cooperation towards a larger goal of nation unity. Next, we moved to Bangalore for Air Force attachment at Yelahanka Air Force Station. We were taken to the training facility present at the station, simulation rooms, training philosophy and pedagogy for the aircraft carrier pilots. From Bangalore, we moved to Kochi for naval attachment of Kochi Naval Base. We got the opportunity to visit the newly commissioned INS Vikram and understand the functioning of Navy in India's overall national security context. We visited Lakshadweep after that, especially the islands of Agarthi and Bangara. The great tourism potential of the island, along with the challenges that are faced by the district administration in running such duties and islands, added to our learnings about the vast landscape that India is. Our next attachment was Madurai, which was a cultural attachment, and we had the opportunity to visit the Meenakshi temple there, sir. As my colleague Kamleshwar has already mentioned, we visited the OT Academy in Chennai and the port today with combining both the groups 8 and 9. From here we will proceed to Manipur for our forest attachment, and then our trip concludes in Gaya, Bihar. So I would like to express my gratitude to Governor Sir, Principal Secretary to Governor Sir, other distinguished guests for giving us this opportunity to share our experiences with you and have an interaction. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for sharing your experience. I request Honorable Governor to deliver his special address and interact with the IAS officer trainees.
First of all, I welcome you all. Very nice to see the young, energetic officers. It takes me 46 years back, maybe before all of you were born. Now, I would like to open the house. You have, no doubt, needless to say, you are the members of the most prestigious civil service of the country, and you have a huge responsibility ahead. Because when I deliver a talk, thereafter matter concludes. I don't wish to conclude that. Instead, I would like to throw the house open for you all people to ask questions, your curiosity, your observations, if you have, and I'm sure you should be having in your minds. That would be perhaps far more meaningful. Yes, let's begin. Feel free. I think don't think that you are interacting with a governor. You just think you are interacting with one of the elder citizens of this country and maybe a very old colleague of yours. So just relax. You can ask the most absurd questions. Don't think too much about propriety, how the question should be asked, whether the governor would like it or not like it. Just feel at home. All that I want you to feel at home and ask whatever comes to your mind, which you feel that you like to me to respond to that.
I wanted to ask a question regarding the Naga peace talks that you were a part of. You have been involved with it as an interlocutor as well as later the governor. So what were the differences in both the posts and the roles and the challenges in both posts?
I think with this, responding to this question, I've tried to address a larger issue which you all must bear in your mind. First and foremost, I think let me stand. I feel more comfortable standing. Why this Naga conflict happened? Why this conflict, not only Naga is in one case, take it as symptomatic or one. There are many. In the entire Northeast, we had a lot of, we used to call it alphabet soup of letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, Z, every, up to Z and beyond. You had groups, armed groups meeting. Why? Actually, if you look at this question, then you get the answer to what actually the Naga is. Because many times what happens, we address the issue on the symptom. Naga said we are not Indians. And so we will not be with India, we will fight, we will be independent. But so did others also. Alpha said in Assam, Bodo said in Assam, some elements in Tripura said, Manipur said, all over. The narrative that we are not Indian, how did this narrative come? Because if you fight the symptom, you only get a temporary reprieve. You don't get the solution. The problem, the core problem that we face is government of India, let us say India face, because this is not the problem only of the government, it is the problem of the people. Northeast is a large area. If you go by 2011 census, it's about 45 million people. Their livelihood, their progress the narrative, each one of them, they started saying, we are not Indian. Be it Assam, be it Manipur, be it Nagaland, be it Tripura. And at some level, in the government of India, we accepted that yes, perhaps they are not Indians and we need to bring them sensitively to us. And a narrative was built by the British, which we continued following that narrative, that thanks to the British rule that they became part of it. You know, that is how the whole thing built. That's not the truth. If you look at, I take you slightly behind, because this question is important, even in other parts, the way you look at your country. The answer to the question is the way you look at your country. You know, before the British took over Bengal, and they took over Bengal in 1757 after the Battle of Plassey, when Robert Clive defeated Sir Alfred Lyons. What they did, they disconnected the entire northeast from the rest of the country. Prior to that, in the decade of 1760, the people from the northeast and the rest of the country, there used to be very regular interaction, movement. Movement for trade, movement for studies. People used to come, movement for pilgrimage. You know, people used to travel from northeast, to Rameswaram. You know, there is, if those of you who are a bit familiar with Assam or those who are going to Assam, you should know that in Assam in the 15th, 16th century, there was a great person called Sankardeva. He is called Mahapurush Sankardeva. He lived for 119 years, by the way. 119 years and lived a healthy life. Born in 1449 and died in 1568. At the age of 30, he left Kamru and he came to Rameswaram. He studied, it was a seat of learning. Then he came to Kanchipuram, he studied. Then he went to Kashi, he studied. He stayed in Kashi for nearly 12 years. Then he went back to Kamrup again and he established a chain of Vaishnavite monastery called Satra, which you find in all over Assam. Satra, this is the Vaishnavite monastery. While reaching Kamrup, the first poem that he composed was Dhanya Dhanya Bharat Bhumi. Now, this is just one illustration. A lot, if you find people in Assam, if you go 400, 500 years back, the people migrated from some other part of the country. Mostly, you have a large number of people going from Kannauj who are there. Most of the Misras, you have many scholars, very great people, Misras and all, they are from Kannauj. They went there about 400 years back. There used to be a regular interaction. They were politically different. They were under different rulers, different kings and all that. But socially and culturally, people were mixing, moving, without any restrictions, this is how this country, Bharat, is very interesting. Article 1 of the Indian Constitution says, India, that is Bharat. And India is introduced through Bharat. And so it is important that all of you must have a good idea of what Bharat is, and that gives you the answer to the question. Now, the British, when they disconnected, after this taking over of Bengal, the entire movement stopped. And in the subsequent centuries, people have started becoming a stranger. Not only that, the British did something worse. Later, first is they segregated the northeast from the rest of the country. In 1873, they brought a regulation called Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation 1873, which is popularly called Inner Line Permit. Now, if you guys have to go to Nagaland, if you have to go to Mizoram, you have to go to Arunachal Pradesh, you will be needed, if unless you are an officer there, somebody will take you. It is easier, but legally speaking, every Indian, for going to those states, you need permit called Inner Line Permit. This was introduced in 1873. Now, what was the background of that? The background was that British, under the India Charter Act of 1813, India Charter Act of 1813, the British Parliament had made a law. One of the provisions in that law, the mandates of the company and the British government in India, what they will do was, one of the responsibility or mandate was religious and moral redemption of India. That is evangelization of India. It was an act of British Parliament. Under this, they brought a host of missionaries to India. And in 1868, because Assam Northeast was annexed by the British in 1824, after the Battle of Yandabu, with the Burmese king they had fought. And then they started consolidating when they got tea and all that, gathered the interest. 1868, one Reverend Clark from American Baptist, he came to Sivsagar. Sivsagar is a place in Arunachal. Jorhat Sivsagar, they had a missionary. He wrote a letter to the governor, Bengal, and the letter is very interesting. He wrote a letter, the letter is of 1871, that every day when I wake up in the morning and look at the hills, because Sivsagar, Jorhat is at the foothill, then you have the Naga hills. When I wake up in the morning, my heart pains, because there are a lot of people above waiting for the gospel, but I am not able to go there. Because whenever they tried to go, there was a stiff resistance by the people. People didn't allow them. And it was in that backdrop that in 1873 they issued this Bengal Eastern Frontier, Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation 1873, where they forgot, they completely prohibited the interaction of the people from the plains to the hills. Before that, historically, plenty of evidence that whenever the people of the hills and the plains, they had a very symbiotic relation, very close relation. Used to have trade relations, used to have marriage relations. Whenever the local kings or rulers in the plain will fight, and the weaker one will run to the hills and take center with one of the kings in the hills. They married there, many of them. When the Mughals invaded Assam, Ahoms were invaded, they fought. Over 100,000 hill people who you can call Nagas, they came and fought along with the Ahom army against the invasion of Mughals. So they had a very close relation. But 1873, they dropped it. And the argument that they gave was, plain people, you are our subject. There are savages in the hills. If you go, you come in the harm's way, protecting you is our responsibility. So don't go. But strangely enough, in the regulation they also mentioned that even those who go with permit, they shall not be permitted to carry images or idols of any Hindu god. It was forbidden. So what happened is, that whole area was through the backup of military, British military and missionaries. They went to the hills, the same in the Naga hills, Mizo hills, Lushai hills was called, it was not Mizo. Mizoram is a name, they got it much later. But it was to be called Lushai hills. So that is there. And over the period they tried to create in the mind that you are different. And when the national freedom movement started gaining momentum, they first in a 9 permit invoking, they did not allow the freedom movement to reach the hills. So national freedom movement did not reach the hills. If you ask the people of Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, they have not participated directly in the freedom movement. Of course, they did subsequently, but they were restricted. They were not allowed to go. And then they came up with the idea of a Crown's colony that should British have to leave India, the northeast of India and upland of Burma joining, they will form a Crown's colony. That will be with the British. That was the plan on which they started working from 1930 onwards. And by the time when they were leaving, they did a lot of damage by creating. They, in fact, all kinds of narrative they created. When the Simon Commission, which was constituted for further devolution of power to the local natives, they drafted the memorandum. It was the British civil servant who drafted the memorandum, and they made some Naga people to go and submit it to the commission. In that they say, look, we are different, we don't want to be part of this reform, because we are different because in the plains there are people, if we mix with them, some of them will not let us eat beef and some of them will not let us eat pork. No, these are a staple of the people, they are to eat. No, this kind of. So the difference that was created in the people, the northeast as a reason, and then between the hill people and the rest was a colonial legacy. And this colonial legacy was accepted by the government of India. The knowledge of government of India was limited, of the northeast region, was limited to the knowledge bequeathed by the British administrators. This is what they are. In fact, if you look at the correspondence of 1950s between the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister of Assam, you will be shocked. The communication says, the Prime Minister says, advises the Chief Minister, we must be slow, they are different people, they are not us, we need to assimilate them with sensitivity. Now, all this was the mind that they are different. They are different, and so we need to integrate them, assimilate them, and make them Indian. Now, this is the background. I am telling you how the whole thing, and this is the narrative which they built. And in all the narrative, they will quote some British writer, some British civil servant, some British anthropologist. Look, this is what the man says, we are different. Actually, and the standard text of history, if you call it, which anybody will tell you. When I was in early 1990, I was given the responsibility to understand and deal with some of the issues of the region. I was new. I went to Guwahati University, I taught the people, advise me some books to read. I also asked some senior civil servants, advisors, everybody without fail said, read the book of Edward Gate. Edward Gate was a civil servant, ICS officer. History of Assam. And I read it. And Gate was honest enough to record in the preface of the book that he understood the region through his head clerk, Gopal Das Barua, who told him, and he narrated, jotted down. He wrote in the 3 months leave that they used to go to get in those days, then when they used to go home, he wrote the book. This Anglophilia. That it is a book written by the British, so it has to be a book which is definitive. And that is narrative which perpetuates it. And this is how we continue looking at not as ours, as us, but different. So our responses also were correspondingly to appeasement, to be happy. In fact, one of the first things that struck me as I said, in 1990s, 90s onward when I started visiting. I usually had a tendency to meet and live with the people. In my job, I was in IB Intelligence Bureau. I seldom, I won't say the word never, but seldom stayed in a circuit house. I used to develop some friendship with some people and used to live in their houses. That gives a far more insight into it. I visited, there is, if some of you are familiar, if not, you will get familiar in your due course. There is an Idu Muslim tribe in Arunachal Pradesh, Dibang Valley. When I was there staying with a friend, I found all the people there, the male had tuft, chutia. I was curious. I said, what is this? They told me, Rukmini was from here. Rukmini was our daughter. She was in love with Sri Krishna. Her brother Rukmini wanted to marry her off to somebody. Rukmini informed Krishna. Krishna came, fought Rukmini, wanted to kill him. At that time, sister sought the pranadhan. Don't kill my brother. So, Krishna, with his Sudarshan Chakra, shaved off his head, left the tuft. Now, where from this folk tale came there? I want to know. And where did it go there? It must have gone long before the British. In our narrative, they are primitive tribes. I went in the state with some Karbi friends. Karbi is another tribe. I hear them telling the story of Ramayana in their own way, some variations. Now, where did the story go? When I started looking at the society, I found that where are we? Where are we? So I was clear in my mind that we were going the wrong way. By accepting the fact, in somewhere in the back of our mind, that there are people who are different, they became part of us thanks to the British. This was a wrong narrative. It had to be corrected. So when I was given in 2014, Prime Minister gave me the responsibility of Naga. I was at the time chairman of Joint Intelligence Committee, which coordinates and oversees all the intelligence agencies in the country. We have all central federal agencies, we have nearly 24. The first thing I did was, I told the Naga friends earlier that they had created narrative. Imagine 1997 the talk began. They said part of the initial agreement, talk will be held in a third country. Not in India, not in Nagaland. And for all these 17, 18 years, we kept meeting them, all the conceivable beautiful places in the world. Be it Hague, be it Zurich, be it Amsterdam, be it Rio de Janeiro, Osaka, Tokyo, Manila, Bangkok, you name a place, all around. They were globe-trotting. Government will expense. I told the gentleman who was in charge, who was leading the organization, the in charge of the organization, told him, look, are you serious? He said, yes, we are serious. If you are serious, you will be here. We will not be meeting, because when you are meeting in a foreign country, you can't meet so often. It has to be once in 3, 4, 5 months. I said, this narrative has to break. The talk